The message popped up on her phone like a scream whispered into the dark, the kind nobody was meant to hear, but someone desperately hoped would. Just a few short words, tapped out with hands that wouldn't stop shaking, while the world around her kept spinning like everything was fine. In that instant, fear tightened around her chest so hard it stole her breath and made every heartbeat feel too loud. Because danger doesn't always show up with shouting or broken glass. Sometimes it slips in quietly, hiding behind fake smiles, buzzing lights, and the awful belief that no one is coming to help. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that strangers can show up right when it matters most, take a second right now to like this video, share it with someone who could use a little hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Stories like this exist to remind us that even in the darkest moments, humanity isn't gone. Emily Carter had been pulling double shifts at a roadside diner sitting on the edge of a forgotten highway town. The kind of place where neon signs flicker even in daylight, and being tired feels permanent. After her mom passed away, her life slowly shrank into survival mode, with medical bills swallowing every dream she ever thought she'd chase. That night, the diner felt different. Heavier. The air was thick with cigarette smoke that clung to clothes, mixed with a sense of unease that crawled up her spine every time she walked near the back hallway. A group of men had been planted in the corner booth for hours, watching her a little too closely. Their laughter cut sharp and wrong, and their eyes followed her every move. She told herself she was just overthinking things, because admitting fear felt dangerous in its own way. Still, her hands trembled as she refilled coffee cups and wiped counters that were already spotless. When her manager told her to head alone to the storage room behind the diner to grab supplies, something deep inside her screamed that she shouldn't go. But instincts don't pay bills, and bills don't care how scared you feel. The hallway light flickered as she walked, and when the door shut behind her, the sound echoed louder than it should have. That was when the panic really hit. The kind that makes your heart pound so hard you're afraid someone else might hear it. Her phone suddenly felt like the only solid thing left in a world that had tilted off balance. Without stopping to think, barely seeing through the tears, she typed the first words that came into her head. I am in danger. She sent it to the last number she had called earlier while placing a food delivery order. She didn't know who would get it. She didn't know if anyone would care. But hitting send felt like tossing a message in a bottle into a violent sea and praying it didn't sink. Miles away, under buzzing streetlights and the low rumble of engines, Jack Miller was taking a break from the road. He sat beside his bike with grease-stained hands and a head full of old mistakes. A longtime member of Hell's Angels, life had carved deep lines into his face, each one earned through years of loyalty, loss, and brotherhood most people never understood. When his phone buzzed, he almost ignored it, figuring it was another wrong number or spam. But something made him look. He couldn't explain it. And when he read those words, his chest tightened in a way he hadn't felt in years. He didn't see a random message. He saw fear. He saw desperation. He saw someone reaching into the dark, hoping that maybe, just maybe, someone would answer. Jack's world shifted instantly. Years earlier, he'd lost someone because help arrived too late, a memory that still woke him up drenched in sweat. This time, he didn't hesitate. He stood up, and the sound of his bike firing to life cut through the night like a promise. He didn't ask questions. He didn't doubt. He shared the location ping that followed with his brothers, men bound not just by leather and patches, but by an unspoken rule that said you never ignore a cry for help. Across the city, engines roared awake, headlights slicing through the darkness as a small army moved with a single purpose. Every mile closed the gap between fear and hope. Back in the diner, time twisted for Emily. Seconds stretched into something unbearable as she hid behind shelves, fighting to stay quiet while her mind raced through every possible ending. She thought about her mom, about every warning she'd ever been given, about trusting her gut. Guilt mixed with terror until she felt dizzy. She had no idea if anyone was coming. No idea if she'd walk out of that room on her own. All she had was a phone clenched in her hand and a thin thread of hope that refused to break. The night shattered with sound when the bikers arrived. Engines thundered like a storm announcing itself. The energy of the place shifted instantly. Fear changed direction as control and confidence took over. Jack moved calmly, not angry, not violent, just certain. With witnesses present and authority standing firm, the situation unraveled fast. And just like that, the grip of danger around Emily began to loosen. When she finally stepped outside, cold air hit her face, and she realized she was still standing, still breathing, still alive. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not from fear this time, but from relief so strong it almost hurt. In the days after, Emily struggled to make sense of it all. She replayed that moment again and again. The second she pressed send, the miracle of someone answering. Her life didn't suddenly become perfect, but something inside her shifted. She began to believe the world wasn't only cruel, that strangers could become protectors, that asking for help didn't make you weak. Jack rode back out with his brothers, carrying a quiet peace with him, knowing this time they had made it in time. This time, they'd been the difference between tragedy and another chance. Weeks later, Emily left the diner for good, finding work somewhere safer and slowly rebuilding her confidence one day at a time. She never forgot the night her life nearly slipped away, or the men who showed up when no one else even knew she needed saving. The experience stayed with her, shaping how she treated others, reminding her to listen, to pay attention, and to respond when someone reaches out, even when it doesn't feel like your responsibility. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment and share how it made you feel, because your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And if this story touched you, if it reminded you that compassion can come from the most unexpected places, please like, comment, share, and stay connected with the channel. Every interaction helps stories like this reach someone who might be typing those same words right now, hoping that somewhere, someone is already on their way.